security as we move forward and get a two-state deal done.
So you're trying to play both sides when you really can't play both sides. Either you're gonna let Israel have it, or you're gonna do what the UN's doing and, you know, make them pull out and give the Palestinians reparations. Like, what are y'all gonna? You got to pick a side. There really is no saying that, oh, I believe that they should defend themselves. I also believe in Palestinians having rights. It's like, well, if you ask Israel, they just trying to take them over, and if you ask Gaza, they kind of don't want no peace arrangement either. But I don't know. That's just what I've been hearing lately.
But right now, the thing we need to get done is this hostage deal and this ceasefire deal. We need a ceasefire. We need the hostage deal.
I want to switch gears to racial justice, Madam Vice President. Last month, you eulogized Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee.
Yeah.
Jackson Lee's signature bill, one of a few, was H.R. 40, which would create a commission to study the history of U.S. slavery and study the issue of reparations. She introduced H.R. 40 every session of Congress, taking up the mantle from Congressman John Conyers. This is a bill that you have co-sponsored as a U.S. Senator. Yet, this has, despite the fact that this has been, similar commissions have been created on the state level and on the local level, is yet to pass in Congress, let alone come out of committee. Congresswoman Jackson Lee, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, and other advocates have called for President Biden to take executive action to create this commission. Would you, as president, take executive action to create this commission, or do you believe that it should happen in Congress?
Well, first of all, as you mentioned, Sheila Jackson Lee, she was an extraordinary leader who we just recently lost, and she was a friend and a real champion for so many issues. So I feel compelled to say that about her. On the issue of what we need to do going forward, look, first of all, we just need to speak truth about history, in spite of the fact that some people would try and erase history and try and teach our children otherwise. We need to speak truth about the generational impact of our history in terms of the generational impact of slavery, the generational impact of redlining, of Jim Crow law. I could go on and on and on. These are facts that have had impact. And we need to speak truth about it. And we need to speak truth about it in a way that is about deriving solutions.
Bro, I'll be so impressed with the way she kind of just like speaks sometimes, because she speaks in a way where you damn near forget the question you asked her. I'm like, wait.
Bro, a master diverter.
Yeah, I'm just like, hold on. I know you didn't answer my question, but what's the question?
Bro, you low-key forget by the time she ends up answering it. Like, hold on. Like, I know you said a whole lot, but I swear that's not what I asked you.
But I guess.
All right, next question. Masterful.
And frankly, I think that we, and part of that is studying it to figure out exactly what we need to do. But part of what we can do right now is, for example, what I'm talking about in terms of building an opportunity economy, which is addressing explicitly the obstacles that historically and currently exist and dealing with them. Student loan debt, medical debt, bias in home appraisals. What we need to do in terms of dealing with an issue that I have championed for years, black maternal mortality, which is the fact that black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die in connection with childbirth than other women. And we know that the reasons for that include disparities that pre-exist her pregnancy, including disparities that exist in the system during her pregnancy. So all of those things must be addressed.
How much merit
Do you have a position on whether that should happen, this commission should happen through executive order or via Congress?
I think Congress ultimately will have the ability to do this work. I'm not discounting the importance of any executive action, but ultimately Congress. Because if you're going to talk about it in any substantial way, there will be hearings, there will be a level of public education and dialogue and I think that was part of the spirit behind the congressional action thus far, to ensure that everyone can participate in this conversation in a way that elevates knowledge about history and the reference points that that are the impetus of this conversation. Especially, again, when people are trying to deny history. When people are, so-called leaders are saying that enslaved people benefited from slavery. I mean, let's talk about the delta here in terms of the work that needs to be done. It's profound.
Madam Vice President, I want to move to Springfield, Ohio, and what's happening there. We've seen school closures, parents worried about their kids leaving.
They're eating the cats and the dogs. They're eating the cats and the dogs. But really, we didn't hear too much about the cats and the dog. But they are eating the ducks for show, though.
And people are dying. I mean, well, one person that's been confirmed to be dead by a legal Haitian immigrant.
Yeah, driving without a license.
Leaving home because of racist conspiracy theories that I won't repeat here, but they have been repeated by leaders on the Republican side, President Trump, former President Trump, and Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance. From your perspective, is this just a case of irredeemable racism that can't be mitigated by any rational action, or is this a situation in which a federal response could help this community heal?
And you know what's crazy, dog? I did see that video going around of a dog on a rotisserie.
Whoa. Is that confirmed to be out of Springfield?
I don't even, I gotta look it up, but I've seen it on Facebook, Instagram, like it's been circulating, and I'm just like, okay, there's no way. There's no way. But then I ain't gonna lie. There was a video confirmed to come from Memphis that showed a bunch of Haitians putting a duck inside a car.
Okay. All right.
In Memphis, though.
And we've covered some videos of locals in Springfield saying that geese are disappearing from their local parks.
And with a police call, but bro, I ain't gonna lie, I was lazy coverage on what the police did. They said we went to the park, we couldn't find no ducks. I'm like, because they took them and cooked them, nigga. What do you? What?
Like, duh.
Like, duh. Wait, of course you couldn't find the duck.
But the locals are literally confirming that there's a decreasing population in the ducks at the parks. These are locals that have lived in Springfield. For those of y'all who don't know, Springfield, we live about 45 minutes east of Springfield. Like, Springfield shout out Columbus. Springfield is a small city. It's one of them cities, like, if you're from there, you stay there for generations. So if the locals are coming out and saying this, man, you kind of got to side with the locals. Like, you kind of got to believe these folks when they saying, like, yeah, we had geese. They was here. Then the Haitian immigration moved in, and I ain't gonna lie, some of these geese, they ain't there as much.
Man. There's a question of resources and...
Well, no, I'll let you finish, and then I'll speak. No comments. It's a crying shame.
All right, CN, catch you, bro. Thank you, bro.
I mean, my heart breaks for this community. There were
not
children,
20K,
elementary school children.
They do got some racks in them EBD cards.
I don't
know about that much.
They
up though.
School photo day.
They up though.
You remember what that's like? Going to school on picture day? Who were dressed up in their best, got all ready, knew what they were going to wear the night before?
The awkward silence. Well, I'm sorry, but like maybe I missed something.
Yeah, go back a sec, because
I might have missed something.
Maybe we talked over it or something.
Like,
I'm missing some context.
Yeah.
Which a federal response could help this community heal.
Hey, what was the question?
And repeated by...
Knowledge about history and the reference points that are the impetus of this conversation. Especially, again, when people are trying to deny history. When people are, so-called leaders are saying that enslaved people benefited from slavery. I mean, let's talk about the delta here in terms of the work that needs to be done. It's profound.
Madam Vice President, I want to move to Springfield, Ohio, and what's happening there. We've seen school closures, parents worried about their kids leaving the home because of racist conspiracy theories that I won't repeat here, but they have been repeated by leaders on the Republican side, President Trump, former President Trump, and Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance. From your perspective, is this just a case of irredeemable racism that can't be mitigated by any rational action, or is this a situation in which a federal response could help this community heal? There's a question of resources and...
Well, no, I'll let you finish, and then I'll speak. No comments. It's a crying shame. I mean, my heart breaks for this community. You know, there were children, elementary school children, who it was school photo day. You remember what that's like? Going to school on picture day? Who were dressed up in their best, got all ready, knew what they were going to wear the night before, and had to be evacuated. Children.
All the bomb threats in Springfield.
A whole community put in fear. And I'll say a couple things about it. One, you know, I learned a long time ago in my career, having a background as a prosecutor, when you have these positions, when you have that kind of microphone in front of you, you really ought to understand at a very deep level how much your words have meaning. I learned at a very young stage of my career that the meaning of my words could impact whether somebody was free or in prison.
Wait a second.
As Attorney General, I was of California, fifth largest economy in the world. I was acutely aware that my words could move markets.
And you failed.
I was about to say, if I was her, I wouldn't even mention my tenure as
bestowed
you failed.
With a microphone that is that big, there is a profound responsibility that comes with that. That is an extension of what should not be lost in this moment, this concept of the public trust. To then understand what the public trust means. It means that you have been invested with trust to be responsible in the way you use your words, much less how you conduct yourself. And especially when you have been and then seek to be again President of the United States of America. And so I go back to, it's a crying shame, literally. What's happening to those families, those children in that community.
And Kamala does it again. I mean, like, dog, they asked her a question and...
Hey, I'm not even trying to be funny. Somebody in the chat, let us know what the question was.
Bro, what was the question? Because I just been hearing her and I'm just going like, okay.
Sounds good.
Now, I know you didn't answer the question, but once again, what the hell was the question again? I mean, like, how do you do this? Like, bro, when Vance was talking, I understood the question he was like answering and everything because he stayed on the topic of the question. But with her, it's like, you know, she goes off topic and to the point where you're just like, wait, I know she didn't answer the question but what the hell was the question again, chat, please?
Not to mention what is happening in terms of, look, you say you care about law enforcement resources being put into this because of these.
Like, bro, okay, bro. I remember it was about like critical race theory and that being trying to be taken out of schools, I believe. And like she went here and then she just started going all over the place. Like, all right, the Springfield thing, and now we're coming to this topic here. And I'm just like, all right, hold on. Can we just stay on point here? Can we stay on point?
Yeah, serious threats that are being issued against a community that
about that comment
is
just
living a productive, good life before this happened.
Undertones.
And spewing lies that are grounded in tropes that are age old.
I ain't like that
and
shit.
Look, I said it not very far from here the other day at the debate.
Chill up.
This is not new. This is not new in terms of these tropes. This is not new in terms of where it's coming from. And, you know, whether it is refusing to rent to people, rent to black families, whether it is taking out a full-page ad in the New York Times against 5 innocent black and Latino teenagers, the Central Park 5, calling for their execution.
My nigga.
Whether it is...
Okay, so, and this is the same question, am I right? So this is the same goddamn question, like, bro, okay, so this is 35. I damn near want to go back to when that man was talking. What did he ask her? What the fuck did this man ask her?
Of racist conspiracy theories that I won't repeat here, but they have been repeated by leaders on the Republican side, President Trump, former President Trump, and Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance. From your perspective, is this just a case of irredeemable racism that can't be mitigated by any rational action, or is this a situation in which a federal response could help this community heal?
Okay, that was it. It was supposed to be, all right, so do you see this like problem, in Springfield as racism, or do you think this actually needs to be a problem that needs to be addressed? Right? That was the question.
It's a question of resources and...
Well, no, I'll let you finish and then I'll speak.
No.
It's a crying shame. I mean, my heart breaks for this community.
Okay.
There were children, elementary school children, who it was school photo day.
And that is where she lost us. It was all about... All right, do you see this problem as well a racist problem? Like, you think people Springfield are just racist? Or do you think this is an actual problem that the government needs to step in and solve? And we just heard for about a good 3 to 4 minutes straight of her just, like, not answering the question. Like, literally did not answer the question. Like, I did not hear the question answered. Like,
masterfully
done. United States with a lie? Birther lies?
Let's see.
What has happened? And spewing lies.
Okay.
That are grounded in tropes that are age old. And look, I said it not very far from here the other day at the debate. This is not new. This is not new in terms of these tropes. This is not new in terms of where it's coming from. And, whether it is refusing to rent to black families.
Nigga, bro, what do you, bro, how did this turn into an attack on Trump? We're supposed to be talking about the problem in Springfield. What are you doing? Tell me, do you think it's racist, or do you think this needs to be a response for the government? Like, what?
There it is, taking out a full-page ad in the New York Times against 5 innocent black and Latino teenagers, Central Park 5, calling for their execution. Whether it is referring to the first black president of the United States with a lie, birther lies. And look, the American people deserve, and I do believe want better than this. I do believe that. I know. The vast majority of us as Americans know we have so much more in common than what separates us. I know that. I know that regardless of someone's background, their race, their gender, their geographic location, I know that people are deeply troubled by what is happening to that community in Springfield, Ohio.
Okay.
And it's got to stop. And we've got to say that you cannot be entrusted with standing behind the seal of the President of the United States of America.
Wait, what?
Engaging in that hateful rhetoric that, as usual, is designed to divide us as a country, is designed to have people pointing fingers at each other. It's designed to do that. And I think most people in our country, regardless of their race, are starting to see through this nonsense and to say, you know what, let's turn the page on this. This is exhausting and it's harmful.
In a long-winded statement, yes, she thinks it's racist that the citizens of Springfield are speaking up against Haitians and not thinking that it needs federal attention. In a long-winded way of answering, yes, you do think it's racist.
Bro, Mike DeWine, our governor, literally sent state troopers to manage the crisis in Springfield because the drivers are so out of control and causing so much chaos in the city, it's overwhelmed the local police force.
Yeah.
So you're telling us it's not an issue, bro? We live in Ohio, 45 minutes east of the city. It's an issue, dog. It's an issue, whether or not they're eating the cats, whether or not they're eating the dogs, or whether or not they're just crashing into the local community, crashing into the citizens who are licensed drivers. They're
Bro.
creating an issue for the community, bro.
Bro,
And I don't say
with
that
cars.
to be xenophobic. I don't say that to be non-accepting anybody that needs to come over here. But the facts are facts, bro. You're talking about a city with a population of 50 to 60,000, bro, and they just threw 15 to 20,000 extra folks on top of that.
These immigrants are literally looking at these citizens like, look at me. I'm
the captain now.
No, I'm a citizen now. Look at me. I am a citizen now.
And it's hateful.
Somebody go come here and call us racist for that. But God, you can't take a joke, man. This ain't the channel for you.
Age-old stuff that we should not have the tolerance for. So let's turn the page and chart a new way forward and say, you can't have that microphone again.
I've heard it all.
Madam Vice President, I'm switching gears again.
Okay.
Quick question. I want to talk to you about gun control. So
yeah, I wanna
you've
join.
said you support an assault weapons ban and universal background checks, and we actually learned during the debate that you are a gun owner. But in cities like Philadelphia, handguns are responsible for most homicides and violent crime. The most recent FBI data shows handguns were involved in 59% of murders in our country. How will you address the issue of the use of handguns? Because a push for an assault weapons ban only addresses a significant but small part of the problem.
But you
So,
have to admit it was funny, though.
First of all, yes, I am a gun owner, and Tim Walz is a gun owner, and we're not trying to take anybody's guns away from them. But we do need an assault weapons ban. Assault weapons
Marxist.
are designed to kill a lot of human beings quickly
Yes,
and
an
have
assault
no
weapons
place
ban,
and
yes.
have no
Oh
place.
no, it's
I
from
mean,
yesterday, bro.
Yeah, it's a day old.
It's from yesterday. It's fresh off the presses, technically. I mean,
Man, you know, it's so
our
crazy.
most recent interview. Or
So,
wait, it's the
all
other-
right, so she's doubling down and she's kind of, expounding on her point of, all right, no, I don't want to ban pistols. She want to ban assault rifles.
Marxist.
So she want to take away the assault rifles. And no, you cannot. Because one, the police going to be able to have assault rifles. The criminals are not going to have, well, I'm going to be real with you. It really is the criminals who aren't going to stop having assault rifles. And then the police came, and then, the military and our government. So we really don't have a way to protect ourselves from a tyrannical government if one was ever being placed, if you take our guns away.
And I was joking earlier about the nukes, but I'm full Second Amendment, man. You should be able to have whatever you want to defend your home. I mean, if you want to have a AR, if you want to have an RPG, if you want to have a grenade launcher, bro.
Sniper rifle.
Like, bro.
Probably going to be your best bet out here.
Oh, God. Stop them before they even get on your
and
front
have
porch.
no
Bruh.
place on the streets of a civil
Hit 'em from the
society.
boat.
We need universal background checks, which, to your point about handguns, is about saying that it is just reasonable to want reasonable gun safety laws that say we should do background checks, that we ought to know. It's just reasonable. You might want to know before someone can buy a lethal weapon. If they've been found by a court to be a danger to themselves or others, you might just want to know.
And respectfully,
And
we do understand that.
But you're asking
Yes.
about.
I'm
you're
asking specifically about handguns, because many of those handguns aren't
universal
purchased in
background
places.
checks
Yes,
apply to handguns.
yes.
they do.
But in
And
many
s-
instances, those handguns aren't even bought lawfully. Yes.
Which is why I also have been very adamant for years. In fact, I myself protested at a gun show probably 10, 15 years ago about the gun show loophole and why we need to close that. Because what ends up happening is that gun shows at flea markets, gun dealers are not, under existing law in the past, required to register their sales. And so you are exactly right that a lot of homicides, for example, a good number of them, I don't have the statistic in front of my mind, are committed with illegally purchased guns. And that's why we need to address each entry point in the issue, including universal background
using these
checks,
guns, though?
closing the gun show loophole,
I think it's the
and what
criminals.
we need to do as a general matter to focus not only on reaction to crime, but prevention of crime. So you're raising a very important issue that has many facets, including what we need to do in terms of reasonable gun safety laws and what we need to do around crime prevention, what we need to do around crime deterrence. But listen, I have personally prosecuted homicide cases. I have held the hands of mothers who have come to me crying, who have said, I only want to talk to Kamala, because they knew when they sat down, I would treat them with the dignity and respect that they were entitled and due.
I'm not trying to be sexist, but you could just expect a woman to be more empathetic in that type of situation than I think any other male politician would have been. Like, yeah, Kamala, she's already kind of played on the emotional side of politics. Like, oh, I understand. I feel you guys. Like,
oh, Lord.
So, yeah, it doesn't really surprise us that she's going to play on that more empathetic role, or that empathetic side, or that sympathy role, to kind of garner some support and votes. Like, she's already admitted to doing it in her previous roles as DA. Like, oh, the families would come to me and I was able to sympathize with them. I mean, that's all good and dandy, but shit, how much of a sympathetic leader do we need?
Yeah, because I'm gonna be real with you. Like, yeah, it's like it's lofty idealism that will lead to, well, I ain't gonna lie, anarchy. Because, bro, what are these, like, what are these criminals gonna do? Are they gonna stop? Are they gonna stop with the assault rifles? I don't think so.
Loss of their child,
man, shout out CN, man,
to gun violence and the need to take it seriously.
Man, I agree we should I agree we should have all that our government has. If they have them, we should too, because they will use them against us. On God. I feel the same way.
And I really stole that joke from Dave Smith, man. He was like, I think Americans should be able to own nukes as long as they're up to city code. I mean, it was funny when I heard it, but as a supporter of Second Amendment rights, man, I could agree. Like, I could agree to an extent. Like, but yeah, we should be able to have anything we deem necessary to defend ourselves in our homes. And like you said, if the police, if the government has access to it, why not us?
And doomsday scenario. Let's say that a country invades us and there's like soldiers with boots on the ground, right? Like foreign soldiers, and they're trying to take out American citizens. Wouldn't it help if we already had some assault rifles on deck to where we don't got to wait for the military or the police to pull up and protect us? Like, wouldn't that be better?
Yeah, we're going to need a militia to rise up. And I ain't going to lie, we stand a better chance with some high capacity weapons, some high damage weapons versus some pistols, some little 22s, some little pea shooters.
And I will be sitting on top of my roof with my assault rifle, well, ready to go. But if I don't got that, then I'm just, I'm sitting duck.
No facts.
Man.
Waiting to get picked off.
By a Haitian.
And we must take it seriously. In every way, understanding it's not just about a soundbite. It's about a comprehensive approach that deals with the tragedy of, to your point, everyday gun violence in America. It's real. It has had a profound impact in terms of trauma that for the most part has gone undiagnosed and untreated. The trauma that exists in communities around the violence of losing their children, losing a brother, losing a father, an uncle. All of that must be addressed, and we have to have a holistic response to it.
Are there things we haven't thought about yet? Because every time we bring up this issue of gun violence, universal background checks comes up, and a ban on assault weapons. Are there other solutions that you're also thinking about that will get at this issue?
Absolutely. For example, part of what we did with...
We literally already defined what Marxist is.
As vice president with the president, we were able to pass the first meaningful gun safety legislation in 30 years. And part of what that involved was millions and millions of dollars to put more mental health counselors in public schools. Right? Because we know that there is an aspect of this that is about treating the trauma and dealing with it at its source before it ends up manifesting itself in a problem. There is the work that we need to do that is about putting resources into communities around violence prevention. I've been a big advocate of that for years, which includes what we need to do around putting resources into community-based intervention that is not just requiring on the good people in the community to volunteer to do the intervention, but actually paying people to do it because it's a full-time job. It's about understanding what we need to do to, again, understand that, to your point, we have to have a holistic response to this issue and prioritize it instead of reacting to the tragedy that, sadly, they are too predictable. Let's all agree, enough of that. There are very few solutions that we haven't thought of. we need to put the resources into them.
Madam Vice President, we want to move to the topic of reproductive access, something that you have worked in leading on, both for the administration, Democrats, and now the top of the ticket. You've said that as president, you would want to codify Roe. If it came to your desk, you would sign a bill that did that. Roe protected access until fetal viability, which it also says is, quote, at about 7 months, but it may occur earlier, even at 24 weeks. So do you similarly support also codifying Roe's restrictions, which allowed states to ban abortion in the 3rd trimester of pregnancy unless necessary to save the mother's life?
We need to put the protections of Roe v. Wade back into law. And when that bill gets passed by Congress, I will proudly sign it into law. Understand what is happening in our country. Over 20 states have passed what I call Trump abortion bans, because I understand how we got here. The former president handpicked 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. They did as he intended, and in state after state, laws have been passed criminalizing healthcare providers. I don't know if anyone here has heard most recently the stories out of Georgia. Tragic story about a young woman who died because it appears the people who should have given her health care were afraid they'd be criminalized after the Dobbs decision came down. Laws that make no exception even for rape or incest, which means that you're telling a survivor of a crime of a violation to their body that they have no right to make a decision about what happens to their body next, which is immoral. An approach that doesn't take into account that most people, I think, agree you don't have to abandon your faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do with her body. If she chooses, she will talk with her pastor, her priest, her rabbi, her imam, but it should not be the government or Donald Trump telling her what to do about her own body and her life. So that's where I stand. We need to put back in place the protection of Roe v. Wade and put that into law.
And those restrictions that are also in.
We need to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade and let an individual, in consultation with her doctor, make the decision based on what she can determine, because she's smart enough to know what's in her best interest instead of having her government tell her what to do, especially a bunch of people in these states.
I don't know, man. If you ask women who made bad decisions in their early age, they'll be like, I was young. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm like, I don't know, man. Hey, man, because y'all girls say things to 18 through 20 that y'all just recant for some reason when you're 25 through 28. It's like wild.
State capitals who think they're in a better position to tell her what to do than she is to know what's in her best interest.
Before we conclude, Madam Vice President, Joyful Warrior has been used to describe
You
your
didn't see that
campaign.
just a minute ago, though. Okay, I'm back to my joyful part.
And your opponent and Republicans have at times weaponized you laughing in campaign ads, for example. Why is joy important to you to insert into this election? And what do you make of Republicans using that as a way to suggest that you're not a serious candidate?
Well, sometimes I think, and I'll say to whoever the young people are who are watching this, there are some times when your adversaries will try and turn your strength into a weakness. Don't you let them. Don't you let them. I find joy in the American people. I find joy and optimism in what I see to be our future and our ability to invest in it. I find joy in the ambition of the people. I find joy in the dreams of the people. I find joy in building community. I find joy in building coalitions. I find joy in believing that the true measure of the strength of a leader is not based on who you beat down, but who you lift up. And I think we should all find joy and have a sense of optimism about.
Joy is not a policy. Joy doesn't help the economy. It doesn't help the immigration problem. Joy don't do none of that. But it is a nice feeling, though, I guess. And, it is a nice feeling, is it not?
About who we are as Americans and what we mean to each other and what we can do to lift each other up.
Madam Vice President, President Biden spoke to former President Trump after the attempt on his life this weekend. Have you spoken to him?
I have.
And earlier today, I assume.
Yes.
How'd that go? You want to give us
playing
some
a little
intel?
Sure. I checked on him to see if he was okay.
Yeah.
And I told him what I have said publicly. There's no place for political violence in our country. I am in this election and in this race for many reasons, including to fight for our democracy.
I like that.
And in a democracy, there is no place for political violence. We can and should have healthy debates and discussion and disagreements, but not resort to violence to resolve those issues.
On January 6th, your vehicle was allowed to kind of pass a viable pipe bomb. We've seen.
No, I was in the building.
You were in the building. And we've seen what's happening with former President Trump. Do you have full confidence in the Secret Service to protect all of you?
I do.
You feel safe for you and your family?
I do. But, I mean, you can go back to Ohio. Not everybody has Secret Service. And there are far too many people in our country right now who are not feeling safe.
I mean, wait, what?
I mean, I look at Project 2025, and
Oh, God.
I look at,
She had to end on that note?
like the Don't Say Gay laws coming out of Florida. Members of the LGBTQ community don't feel safe right now. Immigrants or people with an immigrant background don't feel safe right now. Women don't feel safe right now. And so, yes, I feel
I think
safe.
that's what they purport,
I have
but where's the truth behind
Secret
that,
Service
though?
protection.
I mean, women. Let's keep
Is
it real
that
with y'all.
verifiable?
What? The whole...
Any women in the chat want to speak up on that? Do y'all feel unsafe?
Do y'all feeling safe right now, man? Is it really that serious? Like, come on now. Man, we're empathetic. But in my opinion...
If Trump were to win and relegate the decision of abortion back to the states, does that jeopardize any of y'all freedoms?
Like,
any of y'all liberties?
I mean...
Like, how much does that really put you at a disadvantage?
Yeah, if you got to drive a state over...
And again, I'm genuinely asking. We're not women. We want to know. We want to know. So if female in the chat, speak up. Like,
shoot.
Or do you feel threatened?
I'm going to be real with you. I just don't even think it's like that big of a deal. Like, if we're really thinking about, the greater... like the greater good,
right?
It would be, immigration, the economy, and then we can get things down to, prices and all that. So if you're going to just sit here and just like, we need to just focus on abortion. I'm like, look, can we focus on these first and then we'll get to abortion? And then if we just give it to the states, isn't that just like, the American way of giving it to the people? Isn't it a big dictator like to kind of force it on all the states? Like, come on now. Some of these states are predominantly Christian and they just really don't believe in abortions to the extreme, even though you may not agree. I know it's wild. I get it. But we have to respect what they believe. And if they don't want it in their state majority, then I'm sorry. You're going to have to enjoy the luxuries of living in a nice red state and not have your abortions. Or you can move to a liberal state. Or you can do the most easiest thing. Drive over.
And that's what I was saying yesterday on stream. You actually reminded me of a great point. Like, as oppressive as some folks try and make it seem that, they're going to overturn the decision of Roe v. Wade. Your state's going to be able to decide if you have access to medical abortions or not. Like, well, doesn't a federal mandate on abortions kind of ostracize folks who are pro-life? Does it not? And shout out CN, man. One of the members, one of the supporters, man. We appreciate that $10 super chat.
Man, appreciate you, man, because...
But yeah, what do you think, Seth?
Wait, so what was the question?
So they say that overturning of Roe v. Wade and putting it back in the hands of the states is going to cause a crisis for women, or it limits their access to safe abortions, or it limits their freedoms and their liberties, right? But I say that, on the other hand, inversely, doesn't a federal mandate kind of ostracize folks who are pro-life?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like you're kind of ignoring a group of people as well by just forcing it on people. And like I said, I understand if you want to get it out the way and sacrifice your kid to the altar, go ahead. With your little Aztec, your pre-self. Go ahead, man. But the problem is there's people who don't align with that in the most extreme way. I remember Charlie Kirk even said, like, bro, he had a wild point that he said, if my daughter got raped, then they was have a kid, I'd tell her to keep it. He said that, and I was like, damn, there's really people who believe in that. And yes, wholeheartedly. Me and you, we don't like abortion, but we do believe in it in the three cases, though. In the rape, incest, or, detriment to the mother's life.
Yes, sir.
If it ain't that, I honestly don't believe you should have it. But there's some people who don't even believe in that situation. You should do it.
Now, for those of y'all who are misinterpreting my point, I'm saying for somebody, what's the Mormon state? Utah?
Yes, I believe so.
So if you're a Utah resident, right? Now imagine a federal mandate to allow abortions in all 50 states. That goes against your core belief. So you're being ostracized by the federal government, forcing your state legislation to approve of something that, for a lot of people, they move to the state because it aligns with their core values.
Yeah.
So it does ostracize a good percentage of Americans. And I'm not saying that a federal mandate or a federal law to continue abortions federally across the board, I'm not saying that means you have to get one, but it does make you feel a type of way. And I can understand why some people aren't proponents of that, because if I am a Texan, if I am a Utah resident, if I'm in any of these states who are pro-life, now I got the government telling me like, well, your state got to overturn the decision. I do feel kind of ostracized. Like, yo, damn, like the government doesn't care about pro-lifers.
Like, what about me?
Like, I don't agree. I don't even want the option. Pro-life people don't want the option there. Pro-life people don't think you should be killing your shit.
But
it's not about them. They don't think you should be doing it.
But do you know what that reminds me of, bro? It just reminds me of, wait, hold on. Isn't that like, damn, it starts with an M. It's on the tip of my tongue, kid.
You about what's happening now.
Marxism.
Yes.
Marxism.
Yes.
We're going to go ahead and end the video out
One more good time, man.
On Marxism.
Marxism. Some of us are well schooled on what has become known as cultural Marxism, and many of our fellow American citizens are not, and I can't blame them. Marxist theory is a giant mess of complicated mental illness, but I'm sure you need more information than that. So what if I simply told you that following World War II, a group of Marxist political theorists who seemed harmless after having fled persecution in Nazi Europe after betting on the wrong totalitarian horse, communism, brought their complete disgust for Western culture to Columbia University in New York City and gradually spread their cancer into the government, media, and academic institutions of the United States. Notably flaring up in the 1960s, as Dr. Theodore Dalrymple put it, these new theories appealed to utopian adolescents who, number one, wanted to deny that they were the most fortunate generation that had ever lived, and number two, dreamed of a life completely without restraints on their pleasure, giving the baby boomers what they want.
Man, you know, that generation, that sounds so familiar. It sounds like, you know, my generation and up. Just focus on pleasure and not building. Just pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. You know, early gratification and everything else. It sounds, man, goddamn. Goddamn. It sounds like this Marxism kind of runs deep.
And not what they needed. Frankfurt School adherent, former member of the Brain Trust of the OSS American War Machine, and godfather of the New Left, Herbert Marcuse, along with his contemporaries, engineered a slow-moving Marxist revolution from within American society, utilizing a mass psychoanalytic Hegelian dialectic psyop that is blossoming today amongst the lethargic minds of the millennial generation.
My friend said the Frankfurt School considered psychology one of the main branches of knowledge that had to be integrated with Marxian theory. By no means replacing Marxian theory, but taking it into Marxism.
A synthesizing technique known as repressive tolerance. Thankfully, in the interest of time, Marcuse simplified the definition.
That is the pro, you know, you guys who are trying to force abortion on everybody. It's repressive tolerance. Yes, you have all the tolerance for people who speak for abortion, but no tolerance for the people who speak against it. Yes, that is a lot of people.
Definition of repressive tolerance, saying repressive tolerance is intolerance against movements from the right and toleration of movements from the left. Repressive tolerance is achieved by arming the thoughts of emotional, rationally vacant liberals with the potent weapon of critical theory, a hive mentality that produces a catharsis for the self-loathing types of our society when confronting the social, historical, and ideological forces gluing the structures of a society together. As a nation, we have reached a state of cultural subversion where full-blown treason has become the norm.
People love you, and you win. Woo! And when your son looks at you and says, Mama, look, you won, bullies don't win. And I said, baby, they don't, because we're going to go in there, we're going to impeach the mother.
Judicial Watch has been sounding that alarm for some time now, exposing the fact that your tax dollars are supporting your own demise. George Soros' Open Society Foundation's efforts to subvert the populism and anti-globalism sweeping the United States with Marxist division and unyielding self-loathing should ring alarm bells from sea to shining sea. Judicial Watch stated Soros, with the help of American taxpayers.
So, this kind of goes into the, this recent self-loathing that white people kind of have for themselves that, well, I would say, and it's going to be a bit wild, but when the FBA community kind of have for themselves, it's a real self-loathing that's kind of going on. And it's rooted in Marxism, so get rid of that mindset.
Dollars bolsters a radical left-wing agenda that in the United States has included promoting an open border with Mexico and fighting immigration enforcement efforts, fomenting racial disharmony by funding anti-capitalist racialist organizations, financing the Black Lives Matter movement and other organizations involved in the riots in Ferguson, Missouri, weakening the integrity of our electoral systems, promoting taxpayer-funded abortion on demand, advocating a government run healthcare,
promoting taxpayer funded abortion on demand. Oh man, ain't that crazy? Isn't that what we were just talking about? You're Marxist. There you go. Stop it.
System, opposing U.S. counterterrorism efforts, promoting dubious transnational climate change agreements that threaten American sovereignty, and working to advance gun control and erode Second Amendment protections.
And they essentially outsource our foreign policy to Soros front groups.
Now, as I said, George Soros is a billionaire. His groups don't need tax dollars to do their work advancing their left-wing agenda, don't you think?
The moral and rational code of the United States is taking a severe beating. We have no other choice but to prosecute and reject this invasion of intended mental illness spearheaded by enemies of our republic like George Soros, or find ourselves morphing into the madness as our nation enters the point of no return. John Bound reporting for Info.
And shout out InfoWars, man. Shout out InfoWars, man. Anyway, though, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up, guys, man. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. So if y'all got any, closing questions or comments, anything you want to ask us on the closeout, just go ahead and super chat $1+. We'll go ahead and engage you with it. We'll give y'all about a good, I'd say, 2-3 minutes. 2-3 minutes. Now, it was hilarious. Let's go through each video and talk about it, bro. Because the Donald Trump, this was lit. Hey, he had NY lit on that one. It's funny. For a place that is predominantly, Democrat, it was a bit crazy to see how much people he had at the rally. So I give him that. Shout out Trump on that. Piers Morgan, Cenk, my boy was crashing out. He was crashing out on Trump, bro. You couldn't tell that man nothing.
He crashed out on Trump, but to his credit, he did crash out on Israel.
He crashed out on Israel on real hard.
On that man's ass.
He said, "No, I ain't gonna let you get away with nothing. You ain't talking over me either." I'm like, "Damn, okay."
I could side with almost everything he said. I'll be honest.
Like, I felt it too, though. I felt it. And Kamala's interview, well, she couldn't answer a single question again, but actually, no, she didn't. No, actually, I give her one. She answered one question. Even though it took her a while to answer the question, they did ask her, do you think that the people in Springfield are being racist towards the Haitians, or is this a problem that the government needs to step in? Well, you know what I mean. And she kind of just said, nope, they're racist. They're being racist. So pretty much like I said, she's going to dump these immigrants in our cities, and if we say anything about it, we're racist, we're broke, we're everything but right. Ain't that crazy? But anyway, though, this is Set with S.E.T Comedian, man. We are going to close out on this one. We appreciate y'all support, man. Peace. All right, let's go ahead and end things out on Rumble. Appreciate y'all on Rumble, man. We had 9 of y'all on Rumble. Shout out. 9 of y'all on Rumble. We had about 1 on Twitch. And let's see how oh damn, we had 11 on. Wait, we got 11 of y'all on X, man. Shout out, bro. Make sure y'all like and subscribe to the channel, dog. Appreciate y'all. Make sure to like and subscribe. Like, come on now. Oh yeah, and y'all also on Rumble as well.